So, what's going on, guys? This is Brian Pickowitz here with BP Fitness, and I have a really important Monday message for you guys. So this one is about drive. This one is about being driven. Essentially, it's the question that I get from every single person when they write me. How do you stay driven? How do you stay motivated? How do you find the discipline to actually accomplish the things you want? And so I want to talk to you guys about not just how to do that in your life, but I really want to tie it into some of the examples that I've learned from mine. You know, one of the worst things that I think that happened with this channel is that I started it once I started to see how to work things. I didn't show you the struggle that was 3 years ago. I didn't show you how hard it was when I was in school working 3 jobs, also trying to push myself to become a professional bodybuilder. I didn't show you all those things because I didn't know how to put myself out there. And so what I want to do with this message is show you that those were the moments where I found out how to be driven. And so how do you stay driven? How do you find your way to actually accomplish your goals? And so what it comes down to is you need to find goals that inspire you. If you aren't inspired by what you're trying to accomplish, you're never going to feel satisfied with the end result. You're always going to be looking at something else and something else and something else. You know, there's plenty of examples of this. You know, I look at people, look at people who have money and they're not happy. Look at people who are, reaching their goals in weight loss, but they just keep going because they're not happy with who they actually become. And so there's so many examples of this. And what I really think it comes down to is you're not driven by the right things. You're not driven by something that actually makes you feel inspired. You're just doing it to tell people you can do it. And so what drives me is the fact that I've had to grow up without a whole lot. I grew up in a town of 700 people when I was a kid. I grew up in an area where there was no opportunity. I grew up, so far removed from things, it would take you an hour and a half to actually drive to go to any place. And so that made it so I never wanted to exist in that space. I wanted to be in a place where there were people who were thriving, there was abundance, and there was energy that would ultimately make me feel like people were pushing me to become better. And then the second part that drives me is, growing up without, I don't want to come across like I grew up poor. But when I became an adult, I realized how hard of a struggle it actually was for my parents to put me and my brothers in a position to raise us the right way. My parents, God bless them. The things that they had to do in order to get us to where we are right now. My dad, for those of you who don't know, both my parents are pretty sick. My dad's been disabled most of my life, and it put a massive, burden on them to not only have to deal with the things they were dealing with, but to also have 2 kids. And so when I became an adult, I realized that they weren't there to support me financially anymore. So when I got to school, I ended up having to quit college football because I had to work. And that's fine. That's something I should have had to do. But I had to work 3 jobs. I had to work 3 jobs, 60 hours a week. I had to push myself to get good grades. I didn't have to, but I chose to also be involved in politics because that was something that inspired me. And at the same time, I started my own business and I started trying to become a professional bodybuilder. And why do I tell you that? Because that was fucking hard. There was times where I called home and I would just be like, I can't do this. I had massive anxiety. I started to fight depression because I was in a position where I knew that if something didn't give, or if I didn't find that there was something to move me, that I was gonna fall and quit. I thought about quitting because I felt, how can I do this? How can I achieve this? Because I'm a kid from an area of 700 people. How the hell am I gonna be able to change the world? And so what I learned is that in order to stay driven, you have to understand why you're doing your shit. For me, it came down to, I never wanted to have to ask for anything from anyone. I wanted to be in a position where people look to me for inspiration the same way I was looking for other people. I would find motivational speakers, and when I would go to the gym at 5 a.m. in the morning, I would listen to them and they'd tell me all these things and they would inspire me to keep going, and it would overwhelm me to the point where I just knew that this was the right thing for me in my life. And looking back, if I would have quit, none of this would exist. You guys wouldn't be watching this channel. None of the things that I have, been blessed with seeing in my own life would exist. And so what I want to tell you guys, in order to find that drive, in order to be disciplined, in order to accomplish the things you want, you have to find a reason to be inspired. You have to find something that's going to move you instead of just moving. The difference between someone who accomplishes great things and the people who just move into action is the inspiration. So there's not a lack of motivation in the world. There's not a lack of discipline. There's a lack of people who are inspired by their goals. And so in order for you to be disciplined enough to stick to a diet, in order for you to be disciplined to move your business up, or anything of the like, you have to find something that's going to drive you to succeed. You can't just be doing things for the sake of doing them. And so my message for you is find that drive, find that motivation. And once you do, discipline will take care of itself. You don't need to be disciplined once you start to see the results that you want. But if you aren't seeing the results that you want, either you aren't working hard, and if you're not seeing them because you are working hard, it's because you're looking in the wrong areas. So find something that's going to make it so that you feel inspired every single day. And if you can find that, you're going to find the motivation, the discipline, and the drive to keep going, all right? So this is Brian Pickowitz with BP Fitness. Hope this message reached you. Hope you give me a like because I want to share this message with someone. Give me a comment. What motivates you? And above all else, let's crush this week. Boom.